Ladies and gentlemen, hey, Premier League is back. Football is back this weekend. So in this video, I'll be reviewing all the games this weekend, and I'll be giving my prediction based on antecedents and based on what is happening. First of all, we need to go to Liverpool versus Bournemouth. If you watch the game between Liverpool and Bournemouth, if you watch in the last 5 or 6 games, the last time Bournemouth defeated Liverpool was in 2023. I think that is one goal. From that time till up till now, Liverpool have been beating Bournemouth 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 2-1, 3-1. In fact, if you look at this instance in the last 6 meetings, Liverpool have won Bournemouth 5 good times. And Bournemouth have defeated Liverpool once. And then if you look at what is happening head to head, Bournemouth have not won any game, in the last 4 games. In fact, in their preseason, they played a draw, 2 draws against Real Sociedad, and then they lost the game against Manchester United, lost the game against West Ham. So you can see that Bournemouth are struggling a little bit, and they sold their best players. If you look at the players they sold Zabani, to PSG. They sold Kekes to Liverpool. They sold, Dinhausen to Real Madrid. These are pivotal, important players that they have in their team. And if you look at their lineup already, they have already placed Petrovic in the lineup. So it's going to be an important one for them. And there is also Brooks is also back. Then Semenyo is now looking to be the man of the moment because they also sold, their striker Solanke to Tottenham. You can see they are reducing in quality, but they are traveling to Anfield. On the other side, Liverpool are looking like a rejuvenated side. I know that people will be thinking that because Liverpool lost the Community Shield, that Liverpool will struggle. This season, Liverpool are going to do explosive stuffs. This is what I feel. If you look at it, the players that Liverpool have added to the squad, you talk about Florian Wirtz, you talk about Frimpong, you talk about Kekes, and there's still Andy Robertson, there is Van Dijk, there is Mo Salah, there is Ekitike, there is Ngumoha that played very well, and Liverpool are still striking, pushing to sign Isak. If you look at what Liverpool have signed, to be honest, you will be doing yourself a disservice for you to think that Liverpool will not be able to do well. In fact, Community Shield win or loss have no bearing on the Premier League. And for Liverpool to start the league at home, you know what it means. It's going to be a cracker at the Anfield tomorrow. So I'm looking at this game, and I think that Liverpool will have an upper hand in this game. I am thinking about the lineup already. I feel like Arne Slot already knows the lineup. Gravenberch definitely going to come back in the middle of the park with McAllister. And then you have Gakpo, you have Vets, you have Mo Salah. It will be interesting when Gravenberch comes back, how Arne Slot will be able to integrate Szoboszlai into this team. Because if Gravenberch comes back, Gravenberch will be playing in the middle, and Florian Wirtz is playing the number 10 role. It means that where will Szoboszlai play? Unless Florian Wirtz will be pushed to the side, and then Szoboszlai will play number 10, or they will push Szoboszlai by the side, then Florian Wirtz will play number 10. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what Arne Slot will do, because he's already looking like a conundrum here. But then I'm expecting Ekitike to play. Ekitike is a very good player. Mo Salah should start his season very well. I don't think he will have a bad game again. Van Dijk will also play very well. I'm thinking that Liverpool will go with their normal 4-2-3-1, and Arne Slot will like to bank on runners, force, speed, maintaining possession. It's going to be an interesting one. Of course, we know Iraola would like to try to upset Liverpool, but I don't see any upsets here. I am predicting Liverpool to defeat Bournemouth by 3-1. Going on Saturday, there's a lot of games that will be going on Saturday. The first one will be Aston Villa versus Newcastle. This is a familiar game that we are very, very familiar with. Aston Villa and Newcastle, they are always very, very close. In fact, Newcastle will be beating Aston Villa. Aston Villa will be beating Newcastle. If you look at their last 6 games, look at it. 4-1 to Aston Villa, 3-0 to Newcastle, 3-1 to Newcastle, 5-1 to Newcastle, 3-3 to Newcastle, 3-0 to Aston Villa. In fact, in their last 6 games, Newcastle have beaten Aston Villa 3 times, Aston Villa 2 times, and 1 draw. So it's going to be an interesting one. Looking at this game, Newcastle have been dealt a huge blow already in the Premier League. And you think about it, the way they are struggling to sign players. Of course, they've brought in some new players into the squad, but it's not enough. Elanga is there. Thor, they signed, newly is there, but they are losing a sack that might not be able to play in this game. And then they also have lost Wilson. You can see, so they are a depleted side already. They are trying everything to sign Jacob Ramsey for 40 million, pounds. I don't think he'll be ready to play this game. And on the other side, if you look at Aston Villa are doing very well. In their last preseason game against Villarreal, they won. And you can see that, they are playing very well. They didn't have a lot of signings. I didn't see anybody they signed for Aston Villa. But if you look at what is going on, you will see that Newcastle have lost all their preseason games. In fact, Newcastle have lost 6 of the last 8 games, playing 2 draws. That is massive. So if you look at this, I am expecting Aston Villa being at home to defeat Newcastle. My prediction in this game is for Aston Villa to defeat Newcastle by 2 goals to 1. And then we'll go to Tottenham versus Burnley. Tottenham, they lost the game against PSG. The manner they lost the game might be very, very, embarrassing or shameful for them, because after winning 2-0, up to 85th minutes, they now lost to PSG on penalty, conceding 2 goals in just a space of, is it 5 or 10 minutes, and that is very bad. But going after the game against Burnley, you can see that Burnley is a team that just came back to the Premier League. But if you watch Burnley preseason, all through their preseason, they lost 3 out of 4 of their preseason games and played 1 draw. But before then, they have been winning all their games in their league. Remember, Burnley are the champions of championship. They won the championship, and now they've brought in Armando Broya, brought in Dubravka from Newcastle, Leslie Ugochukwu, and then they let go of player like James Trafford. James Trafford is an important player, so it don't go easy for them. It don't go easy, to be honest. So looking at this, I believe Tottenham will be able to defeat Burnley. I think Tottenham, this is a win for Tottenham. Then you go to Sunderland versus West Ham. Sunderland is a team that came from the playoffs, and you can see their form have been very, very bad. In fact, in their last 8 games, they've only won 1 game. So I am thinking that West Ham here will be able to defeat them. West Ham have been fairly okay in the preseason. In their last 4 preseason games, they won to played 1 draw against Lille, and then lost to Manchester United. They've been fairly okay, so I expect expect them to play well. Potter is looking like a man that is very serious for them to do something in this season. Then if you go forward, you see Brighton versus Fulham. This is an important game. Brighton have lost some firepower. Even though in their preseason, they played very well in their preseason. I think they won 3 out of their 4 preseason games. But if you look at it, they've lost João Pedro. They are now fighting to keep Baleba. Manchester United are struggling to sign Baleba. So if you watch this game and you watch the head-to-head between these 2 teams, you understand that this game is not going to be an easy one. And if you ask me, Fulham are doing a very good job under this their coach. They are doing a very, very good job. And William is already back in the squad. They already have Luke Harris. They didn't sign a lot of players, and also won 3 out of their 4 last games. I am expecting this game, because Brighton are playing at home. I think this game will be a close one. I'm predicting 3-2. I think there will be goals here. Wolves versus Manchester City. Manchester City. Hey, Pep Guardiola. Yeah. Ball go back. To be honest, if you watch Manchester City are looking like a team on form. Like this season, a lot of people are writing them off. I know because of their defensive issues, but if you look at things that are doing, I believe that Manchester City will be a force this season. It will be difficult for you to see a team that will stop Manchester City. Look at, apart from the game they lost to Al Hilal, they've won virtually, in their last 8 games, they won 7 and played only 1 loss, to Al Hilal. And, they played their game against Palermo and they defeated them 3-0. Reinders is an important player to watch. Erling Haaland is back with a bang. And there is also Foden. There is also Doku. They are planning to sign, Rodrigo if Savinho leaves. Of course, Jack Grealish have left, but I don't think Jack Grealish is a big loss. I think the bigger loss is Kevin De Bruyne, but they found a way to sign good players. Nico Gonzalez is there. There is Rodri. Rodri is an important player. Manchester City might like him to come back as quickly as possible because he helps them the way they play. He's going to be out in September. But I think in this game against Wolves normally give Manchester City headache. Like Manchester City always struggle to beat Wolves and beat them, convincingly. If you ask me in this game, I think this game will be a close one again. I feel like Manchester City will be able to defeat Wolves again by 2-1. Then you go to Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. Carry me, they go. Maresca carry me, they go. This game is going to be an important one. London derby again. I don't think Crystal Palace have ever won Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I can't remember the last time they did that. I think it's been a very, very long time they defeated Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But they are always looking for a draw. The way Oliver Glasner is playing his games, you can see that Oliver Glasner is a man that is on a mission. Do you understand? Oliver Glasner is a man that likes to stifle the opponent and hit you on counter. Chelsea should be wary of them. Chelsea should be prepared. Because if you look at the game they played against Liverpool, they played a defensive game and they hit Liverpool when Liverpool least expected it. But if you look at on the other side, on Chelsea side, Chelsea is now a different animal altogether. You know, the signing of João Pedro, signing of Delap, signing of Gittins, signing of, Estava Williams means that Chelsea are well prepared against the defensive side. One problem Chelsea normally have is how do they handle the opponent when they're on counter? How do they handle them when they're in race defense? You know, these are the questions we need to ask. And the Crystal Palace will be asking that questions against Chelsea. I know the game Chelsea plays against Leverkusen, played against AC Milan. I believe this will be a tougher game. Ebere Chelsea will be there. Watson in the midfield is a monster. Then you have to have Mateta that will be fighting against Tosin or Chalobah. Chelsea are still contemplating whether to buy a new defender or whether not to buy a new defender because of the loss of Colwill, which is a big one. So if you look at this game holistically, in the last games they played, in the last two games between Chelsea and Crystal Palace have ended in a draw. In fact, Chelsea must be trying to avoid a draw in this time around. I think that Chelsea have what it takes. Cole Palmer is now free. Estava Williams. In fact, Enzo Mares can have a lot of options. Caicedo have started very well again. There is a Sugo. There is opportunity for Enzo Fernandez. But if you look at on the other side, the defense of Crystal Palace, up till now, Guehi have not left. So it means that this game is going to be an important one. This game is going to be difficult. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game being a closely contested affair. I'll be thinking that Chelsea will win this game. My mind is telling me 3-1, but I feel like because Chelsea scored a lot of goals, I think this one will be either 2-1 or 3-1, but let me go with 3-1. Chelsea to win Crystal Palace by 3-1. Brentford versus Forest. Forest should be able to defeat Brentford. To be honest, Brentford have lost Mbemo, lost Nogard, about to lose Wissa. And Forest have lost Elanga, but they kept hold of, what's it called? They kept hold of Gibbs White. And they also signed Dan Ndoye. And I'm believing that they should be able to win, Brentford. I'm predicting this one to really be, even though I'm expecting them to beat, Brentford, I'm predicting this one to be a draw. I don't know why. Because the history is always on the side of Nottingham Forest. Then the big one, Manchester United, Shesko, and then Yakares, 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 Manchester United versus Arsenal. You see, this game is very, very strong. In the last 6 games between Manchester United and Arsenal, in fact, the last 2 games have ended in a draw. The last 3 games have ended in 2 draws and 1 Arsenal win 1. The last 4 games have ended in 2 draws, Arsenal win 2. The last 5 games have ended in a draw, Arsenal win 3. The last 6 games have ended in a draw, Arsenal win, if you check it, Arsenal have won Manchester United 5 times. Manchester United have won 3 times and 2 draws in the last 10 games. And looking at these statistics here, to be honest, it's going to be interesting for us to see how Ruben Amorim will cope against Mikel Arteta. Once the tactical ball comes, I do the analysis here. I believe that Mikel Arteta controls the game holistically. I believe that Ruben Amorim banks on individual brilliance. I think as a team, Manchester United are not yet cohesive. Arsenal as a team, of course, they don't score much goals, but they control the proceedings. They make it difficult for the opponent to play. And Arsenal is a team that they only struggle against small teams. I can't remember the last time a big team, embarrassed Arsenal. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And this game is going to be a very difficult one. If Arsenal play the way they normally play, I see them walking away from the Old Trafford with a win. But if you ask me by my own prediction, I think this game will end in a draw. Not because Manchester United is better than Arsenal currently, but because of the excitement of the new players in Mbemo, Kunha, the Old Trafford, the opening of the Carrington. There's a lot of things, and there's Gyökeres. I believe this game will be very, very closely contested. I wouldn't be surprised if Man U need a win here, because Man U is a team that, especially among the big teams, they will show up. They will bang. But I'm predicting this game to be a draw. It's going to be a battle in the middle, Zubimendi versus, Fernandez. You have Rice versus, Casemiro. You have the likes of Gyökeres versus Shesko. You have the likes, competition all over the place. Noni Madueke. You have Ahmad. Can Ahmad play very well as wing back? One question, because Arsenal players will put him under massive pressure. But then, let's see that one, what happens. And then finally, Leeds versus Everton. Everton signing Grealish and also signing, Kenan Drisbury Hall. I believe Everton should be able to win. This is what I am thinking in this game. And that is all. And then going to La Liga, Barcelona versus Mallorca. Barcelona know how to beat Mallorca and beat them very well. In fact, the last two games has been 1-0 to Barca and 5-1. In fact, if you check the head-to-head, Barcelona have won Mallorca 9-0. Like 9 times. Mallorca have not beaten Barcelona in the last 10 games, 9 wins for Barca. So I'm expecting Barcelona to be, on bank form again. Hans Flick have shown that they are scoring goals for fun. I'm expecting more goals. I wouldn't be surprised if this one is another 5-1. My prediction is actually 4-1 to Barcelona Football Club because Barcelona are playing very, very well. They're banging goals, they're destroying opponents. Yamal is on form with number 10, and then Rashford is playing magnificent football. And then you have to talk about, Rafinha that is coming back on form. Pedri. I don't see how will Mallorca play against Barca. How? This game will end in 4-1 or even more to Barcelona beating Mallorca, and that will be an important one. You see that game between Espanyol and Atletico de Madrid. I'm expecting Espanyol to give Atletico de Madrid a very tough time, but Atletico de Madrid with their signings and everything, I'm expecting Diego Simeone to come out victorious. Of course, we know that the game between Real Madrid and Osasuna will happen on Tuesday next week. Real Madrid playing at the Bernabeu, Xabi Alonso's first official game as a Real Madrid coach at the Bernabeu. So this one will be a big one. If you check the head-to-head, Real Madrid are beating them 7, and then there is 3 draws, and Osasuna have not beaten Real Madrid in the last 10 games. So this game, I will not be surprised if it ends in Real Madrid beating them 4-0. There is also the game between Nantes and PSG. I believe PSG will win. PSG are back to form. So enjoy the weekend. Tell me what you'll be doing in the comment section. There's a lot of games I'll be following through. And then if you're not following us on Beyond the Match Backup on our page, follow us as we fight to regain access to the main page that was compromised by unscrupulous elements. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, we are Beyond the Match. Thank you.